Second thing, well, while we're at that, you do have in front of you, and Michael, you can tell them where it's at, but all of the CM RFP documents, there are several. And I bring these to you because I think it was maybe June or July when we had the folks from the Adams Group here to discuss that, and there was some, I think, misunderstanding of what we were asking for. The document before you is an RFP for construction management, which is very similar to the last two projects that the county did, the East Point Clinic, or the Carabel Clinic, and then what you're currently doing at the Armory. It's not anything different or pie in the sky. It's very similar to that. So in order for us to go the next step, I need to be able to get that RFP out and bring the construction manager on board.
So moved.
Second? Is that,
I do bring them.
You mean you want to go ahead and do, to bring it aboard?
Yeah.
Bring the construction manager aboard. And basically what they do is it's set up as two separate portions. There's a pre-construction portion, which I believe you see in the contract, and then a construction portion.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Just say you're going to ask for this money today, and if you don't get no billing money within the next couple of months, are you going to have to come back for the board and ask for some more money to pay back out? I mean, be honest with me, to pay your payroll. I mean, be honest with me now. We man to man. Are you going to have to borrow money again if you don't get money? And like Mr. John says, coming in a couple of months, you're going to have to come back and get money again to pay.
It's possible, yes.
Okay, well, we're looking at $500,000-$600,000 in a couple of months. You're going to have to take out of the fund to pay the payments.
It's possible.
Yeah.
A lot of it is beyond our control, to be honest with you.
Well, I understand that. There's no doubt. But I'm just saying, the people of Franklin County, I mean, what they're going to say, I was trying to build an $11 million hospital, and we're going to have to borrow all this money from our trust fund.
Commissioner, all I can tell you, as John mentioned, this is, I understand the numbers are large numbers. I understand that it is a concern, but it's, unfortunately, this is business in small hospitals across the country.
I know you're trying as hard as you can, and Mr. John's trying as hard as y'all can to do everything you can to make it. There's no doubt, I know y'all doing your best. You hope, it's just the time to get the, you know what I'm saying, to draw two draws out of the trust fund and want to build an $11 million hospital. How do you explain that to the people?
I can tell you, I can explain it. Whether people will understand it, that is a different question. But the way the hospital is reimbursed, building an $11 million building is not a financial, it's not going to make our finances any worse. It will only make them better.
Well, $11 million, build that, you ain't gonna have to borrow any extra to build it?
That's the whole point behind the way we're doing this, is because the construction manager will be at risk for that number. If he says, I can build that building for that amount of money, he is bonded and at risk to do so. Not coming back to us with it half built and say, oh, it's going to cost another $3 million to finish it off.
If he signs that up for $11 million, he's gonna have to build it for $11 million.
to make a comment, the construction management at risk is a very valuable tool for owners doing projects. We have a budget, and the contractor, construction manager says, we will build that facility for the price that you have, or we'll pay the difference.
Basically, that's
Unless the change orders, you can't have change
yeah.
orders.
I mean, we can't say, oh, by the way, we're halfway through it, we want to add 10 new beds and expect them to do that. But, so long as we stick with what we say we want, and then they're obligated to do it.
I'm just going by what the guy said that me and you met with the morning that build hospitals all over the nation.
Mr. Chairman, it seems like we've got two issues here. One is addressing the cash flow problem, which unfortunately is a recurring issue because of the funding sources. And the other is the construction management.
This is not hard to figure out. You have to borrow twice, maybe again, to get $600,000 out of your trust fund to build a hospital. You ain't gonna have much money left in your trust fund at the end of the time. And it's gotta be paid back.
Now, I want to make sure everybody understands this. This is a cash flow issue. We would treat this $280,000 that I've requested out of the trust the same way as we did the $400,000. It will be repaid, and it'll be repaid timely. This is a timing issue. And again, this is Medicare. Medicare owes us close to $1 million, all said and told, that I can't call up Medicare and say, you got to pay me today. They pay when they get ready to pay. And I can't change that. And this is what happens to small hospitals, because small hospitals are proportionately more reliant on Medicare because the older people are not in the suburban areas, they're in the more rural areas. So we're very dependent on Medicare, and you just can't move them. They're too big. They don't listen to a small hospital. So if they say they're not going to pay this month, they don't pay this month. And that's where we get to where we're at.
So you're saying you're gonna repay if you have to make a withdrawal out of the trust fund, just as you did 4 months ago or 6 months ago, however it was, when you get your reimbursement from Medicare, you're gonna put the money back in the trust fund?
Exactly.
Okay, I understand that, but last time you didn't get but 100 something, this time you're gonna get 280. You said you're liable to have to come back in a follower, because according to Mr. John, you're liable not to get it for 2 or 3, 4 months.
Last
You got
time-
to borrow again, you're gonna be up $500,000-$600,000 you gotta pay back. Money that you counting on, you're gonna use on top of that.
Last time we got $300,000 and we
Well,
repaid
I'm
it.
saying, you understand what I'm saying? You're counting on this money to pay stuff off. And you're gonna borrow, it's gotta be paid back. You understand my man? It's just, it's hard, it's hard.
I understand your frustration. I guess I'm kind of immune to it. I've been doing this for 30 years, and this is normal. It really is normal in the small hospital business. And unfortunately, you guys, I mean, this is a kind of unique situation.
It's an awful situation, Mr. Cooper.
It's a unique situation in that, as John said, most small hospitals are now a part of a larger system. I mean, I was in the Ascension system, I've been in other systems, and I've been owned by other hospitals. And they have those big brothers that take care of this, or they have lines of credit. In this case, we are the county doing business as the Weems Memorial, which leaves the ball directly with you. So this is a unique situation as far as the way the thing goes, but as far as the business, it's not that unique. It's the same.
That's just a question. Okay, that's just a, take away the hospital, Newport. It still be the same thing when you had to borrow to keep going, right?
And yes, it would. And it'll probably get worse. It'll probably
He's
get
telling you the
worse.
truth, Mr. Noah.
I know, but, so, that's happening, the money there, but it's not there. That's what you're saying.
Right. We've got receivables from Medicare, approximately anywhere between $800,000 and $1 million. We don't know exactly, but it's there. We're just waiting on them.
It's been here, I've been here going on 4 years, and that money's been laying there since I've been here.
I don't see no problem. I mean, money there.
I have is it a motion that you're seeking? Is that what you're?
Mr. Noah made a motion.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I'm-
Further discussion?
All right, I got a motion set, okay, public comment?
And this is the motion on the construction management issue.
That's
This is on the management department, this ain't on the money, this is to go ahead and go forward with the hospital.
I'd rather speak to the, not construction management, but the money.
Okay, that's fine, what's next?
Mr. Chairman, I'll read the motion back. The motion was to approve the use of the construction manager for the construction of the new hospital and authorizing the advertising of the RFP.
That's a request for proposal. That's not hiring anybody.
That's correct. That is requesting proposals for a construction manager who then would be selected. I guess initially, what y'all did before in Carabel is the hospital board put together a short list, and then the county commission made the decision from the short list, but that's entirely up to the board.
And as I said before we move on with any kind of construction managers and stuff, I'm asking for this board to have a public hearing to where the people of this county can say how they want to go ahead with that. They may all approve it, but until we have a public hearing and make sure that everybody's inclusive into it, we won't know. And that's my final statement before we take a vote.
I have a motion and a second on the floor to go ahead with the RFP.
For construction.
All in favor? All opposed?
I oppose.
I oppose. Okay, go ahead.
And since we've discussed it, I would also ask for the ability to draw on the trust with the understanding that it would be repaid.
So moved.
Second, I'd
I
like
haven't-
to make a comment.
Okay, go ahead and make your comment.
I have a lot of faith in the CEO that we have, the hospital. I think he has shown in the time that he's been here that he is very experienced and very competent. And I'm basing my vote of support on Mike's performance so far.
I didn't say he wasn't experienced, no, I'm just going by what the man says about the money, about being experienced. The man's doing a good job, an excellent job. I'm talking about the money that's coming in, and if they gotta borrow more money to do is what I'm saying. The people of Franklin County stuff, but that's, I'm not saying he's doing a good job. I meet with Mike quite regular. He'll tell you on pretty regular basis, me and Mike meets.
Mr. Chairman, just a procedural issue, if the board is going to approve the withdrawal of up to $280,000 from the Surtax Trust Fund with a repayment obligation, you would also need to authorize the clerk to cut a manual check for that purpose. So if you would amend the motion in a second for that purpose.
Is this money to pay the employees?
Employees and immediate vendor needs.
Okay.
I'll amend the motion.
I'll accept that.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do you want to speak? Alan?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Alan Pfeiffer, Concerned Citizens, Franklin County. Now, I also want to say that this is Mike is an excellent CEO. We just have concerns that the community is not able to generate the cash flow at the present time. I would like to make a couple of points. One is that the balance sheet looks fairly solid because it's mostly made up of money that we've been putting away for years through the Healthcare Trust Fund. Without that, the balance sheet is in awful shape, in my opinion. Before I go into my formal comments, I also wanted to make the board aware that the expenses of the hospital went up approximately $1 million from 2014 to 2015, with revenues going up only a couple $100,000. This is materially what a lot of the problem is today. I've been coming here for 10 years plus, and this is like, as Commissioner Sanders says, this is deja vu all over again. We're dealing with the same issues because things come up constantly that you can't anticipate. The problem is the hospital it has no cash. So the things that occur to the hospital on a regular basis will keep occurring. There'll be revenues come in that were unanticipated. There'll be expenses that come in that are unanticipated. The question is the trend line, and I really don't know what that trend line is, but any type of new facility is not going to decrease cost. It's going to increase cost. New facilities cost more money to run than the current facility. It is I think as to the new hospital, it's imperative to inform the public that the available money is insufficient to build a totally new hospital. I talk to a lot of people who think that there's going to be a greenfield, knock the hospital down and build a new one. My understanding is that cost would be roughly $30 million or more. However, given the current stance of the Board of County Commissioners, it would seem that the board would want to know in advance exactly what is to be built, for how much, and what additional monies would be needed to commission, equip, and to meet the future requirements for physician recruiting, and for the introduction of additional services that can reduce future deficits. To that end, I feel some kind of independent financial oversight is indicated to begin a major confidence-building effort before the county fully commits towards a new building program. However, at this juncture, the board must thread the needle and ask Weems management to provide a budget for moving forward with a plan for pre-development. At this time, we really don't know what is being proposed and how much it's going to cost. That's the importance of going forward with where you are now with a costing exercise. My organization supports such action, and keeping in mind that Weems has spent more than $500,000 on the project since the ballot initiative initially passed. Finally, I'd like to make the board aware well, I think that's my major point. I'd like to see hard numbers. I think the board would like to see hard numbers. I think there's a general lack of confidence right now with at least some of the commissioners that we don't know, in for a penny, in for a pound, it just keeps bleeding. Ultimately, physician recruiting is likely to be very expensive. There is no budget for that. You hear about a $1,000 a day doctor. That's unsustainable for the hospital. The hospital has excellent management, but very limited cash flow from the available population down here. You need no more. We need a public hearing. We need to get everything fully disclosed at the appropriate time so that everybody is part of this process, and what you see is what you ultimately get. Thank you very much, Commissioners.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Comment.
Go ahead.
Them people can get up here and I don't know where this coming from or where it's going, but they done showed us pictures of what they gonna build. They done told us the cost of what they gonna build. I done seen it in black and white. I guess I was the only one in this room. But we done seen that. So what are we talking about? And for us, they talking about the recruiting of the doctor. Yeah, we need new doctors. We're gonna need some new doctors. This is a small place. It's hard to get doctors here. When Dr. Charbonneau was here, we had the same problem. So what's the difference? I mean, it's money there. It's taking a little time for it to be reimbursed. It's not nothing we just going through. We've been putting off. It's time to put on them bricks on that street out there.
So, I mean, that's y'all. I'm just going by what people in Franklin County is talking about, the situation of the money fixing to cost. Probably going to have to borrow again to make it to another month to pay the payroll. That's all I'm concerned about, is where our money's going. Are we going to be able to pay this off? We're going to have enough money coming in taxes to probably pay the payment, but to run the hospital. I'm just concerned about putting Franklin County in an $11 million debt, the people of Franklin County. Your grandkids will be paying far down the road. I'm all for it if it will work. I'm all for it.
I'd like to make a comment. I think at the point after the construction management firm provides the plans, I think it'd be very appropriate to have a public hearing when we know what we're talking about. The county commission has not moved forward on this project, but we need all the facts that we can get so we can make a rational decision.
But I feel like, Commissioner Watson, that the people should have had the facts, and this board should have had the facts before we moved ahead forward on anything with it. I mean, this is the way I feel. Now, some of the board members are thinking that the workshop that we had with USDA and the hospital board was a public meeting, public hearing. No, the people has asked me, I know they've asked Commissioner Massey, because the same people that asked him, asked me. So, I mean, I'm just doing what I've got to do. And like I said, I haven't been here a long time, but I've been here long enough to see what's happening, and it scares me. It scares me. The numbers were bad, and I mean, they looked like they had a solid report back when we had the hospital there in financial difficulty. It looked solid, but it wasn't. And the thing about it is we are answerable to the people, not Mr. Cooper, not the hospital board. We, this board, is answerable to the people. And they're looking, I know my personal finances, if you got your nest egg, like we got our nest egg, that would be the Health Care Trust Fund. Well, you don't go divvying in that all the time, even though you have intentions of paying it back. Someday, you're not going to be able to pay it back. If I were to do that with what I have nothing right now in my hand. You know what I'm saying? So you just, that may be what the trend to small county hospitals are, but it's not good business practices to me. That's not the way. And I've never been a hospital administrator, and I'll say that. But just, you know, looking at it eyeball to eyeball, it looks like it's not good business sense.
I support a public hearing before we make the final decision. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Best.
We done made it, the people made a decision 9 years ago. People made a decision 9 years ago when they voted for that penny. And we told them we were gonna build a hospital then. We told them we were gonna build a clinic over there, we done it.
We didn't.
And we told them we were gonna build a hospital.
But I want to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to, Mr. Noah, and not being the burden on the thing. Because I asked at the workshop, and I never did get an answer when I said, well, if you'll remember, and I remember this very well, I said, well, what happens, we was looking at the numbers up here on the wall, and I said, well, what happens if your numbers do not meet your expectations like you think? Where do you expect to get the money then? Where do you expect to get the money if the trust fund, it will not be enough money to substantiate the payments? And nobody said anything. Nobody said anything.
If you can't pay for that hospital out of that, how much money y'all getting from that trust, from that penny?
How much are we getting now?
Yeah, for in a year.
Hey,
About 1.5 years.
he's wondering, he's asking a question of how much is generated by that penny sales tax, not what you're getting out
Okay.
of it.
Yeah,
It's $1.8 million, I believe.
$1.8 million.
That's what goes into the trust fund.
Okay.
The
What it
payment,
gonna cost a year
$400,000, $460,000 in bond payments a year.
for the pay for the hospital? If you can't pay for that hospital out of that, you hoodwink.
And I'll just make one other comment, Commissioner Sanders. To answer
Now,
your
y'all don't
question-
have to go back running to the hospital telling everybody that Commissioner Sanders or whoever is against what, because that's what's been done, and I've had people come back. And what I do is make a clean, clear decision, and when we walk off this board, we're still friends. When we walk out in the streets, we're still friends, but I have some big problems with it. Can't help it, that's just the way I am. And if none of the hospital board don't like my thoughts, I could care less, because I answer to the people of Franklin County. And I answer to them every 4 years at the polls.
I just wanted to answer your question that you said
Yes,
didn't
sir.
get answered. The numbers that you saw up there were based on no increase in any volumes whatsoever. It's based on the volume that you've had for the last 10 years, which hasn't changed in the last 10 years. So when you say, well, what if you don't get that money? It means that something horrific has happened in the county that, you know, we're just not getting the amount of business that we're getting currently, which if that happens, that's a catastrophe, and we don't plan for catastrophes. We plan for preparedness for catastrophes. You can't predict when that's going to happen. You can only react to it. And we have been as conservative as we possibly can. We are not trying to paint a rosy picture for you. We're trying to show you what the possibilities are and that we can do this. It is not just feasible, it is a work plan that we can work. And
The reason why I said that, the reason why I asked that, was there was some discussion by some of the hospital board members at one point in time that, well, if we don't get enough money through the trust fund, healthcare trust fund, we'll just come back and let y'all take it out of ad valorem tax money. And I just want to let you know, I just want to let you know that we've already straightened them out, but I want to make sure that the people took this vote of this 1 cent sales tax to take it off the back of the ad valorem taxes. And that's what it is. So that, I just want to make sure that this hospital can operate. But like I said, I still feel like I feel, and I'm sorry that some of the commissioners don't agree with me. That's fine. I don't agree with them, what they say sometimes, but I try to be respectful. And that's it. I mean, because this is a heated argument. It's not an argument, this is a heated discussion. It's a very important discussion. And the thing about it is, everybody's for the medical services in Franklin County. Everybody's for medical services. And that's what we need.
I'm
And
for
we
the
need-
medical
we
services.
need, yes, and we need more doctors. There's been a lot of things, good things happening out at the hospital as far as the employees and the treatment of the patients and stuff like that. But we still have problems that we need to take care of. And when certain board members bring certain things to the hospital board or the CEO's attention, just don't pass it off like it's nothing and just, it is something. It is something because somebody's talking about it,
It just concerned me, like Mr. North said, you got the money to pay the payments. When you go to pay the payments, you come in that hospital, you come have to come back and borrow $280,000 to pay a payroll, and it's not there, we in trouble.
Yeah.
But we got a motion on the floor in a second to give them the money.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, we do, but I did
Okay.
want to address the ad valorem question. Bond counsel and I have discussed this issue, and USDA cannot make you raise your ad valorem taxes to repay the bonds. That's off the table.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Cannot be done.
All right. All in favor to give them the 280? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. See, now, all party giving you the money. It's just the issue of,
Well, we want those, let me tell you something. I was up here when them employees wasn't getting paid. I was up here. I'm not gonna ever let that happen again, but Mr. Cooper, I wanna ask you a very serious question, and this is serious right here. What month was it that you got your grant money to do the ambulance? The state grant? What was it, when were you notified about the ambulance?
I want to say it was May.
That you got the money for the ambulance?
We didn't get the money. We got.
But I mean, you got the
Notice.
approval. You got the
Yes.
approval for it. And then when did you order the ambulance?
We ordered it in June.
You ordered it in June and you got it in October.
We got it in October, but they had originally said it wouldn't be available until January.
Okay. Why is it taking so long to get this second ambulance that the board has approved?
We ordered it. They tell us where it's at in their assembly line. Basically, it's like if you were to order a new house, it's not like it's built already.
Yeah.
It's in the assembly line, and it depends on how many ambulances they got in front of you.
Well, on some of it, it said that you were gonna wait and see how this other ambulance performed. I think I read something on that to really get down on what you needed.
Well, what we wanted to do is, when we ordered the grant ambulance, you go through a checklist. I want this bell, I want this whistle, I don't
Yeah,
need this.
yeah.
And we wanted to make sure when it came in,
That you had what you needed.
that it was, so that we had two that was very similar, and so when staff changes from one to the other, they're not looking for stuff. But we went ahead and ordered the second one, and they gave us a date of April, so March or April.
Okay, thank you.
anybody have any more questions for Mr. Mike? Thank you.
I just have two other announcements, non-action items. The first is, we received notice earlier in November. And if you'll recall, I signed my documents back in the summer, but CHP Health Plan has finally added us, effective today, to accept the hospital for ancillary care which would be basically radiology services for people with CHP insurance. They can now come to the hospital and get a CAT scan or anything to that effect. I am still working on them. I will continue working on them till I'm not longer able to bring us on as a full partner. And I think I'll get there. It's just, you just got to wear them down.
Commissioner, I'll give a comment, that's excellent news.
Also, back on the topic of EMS, I wanted to inform you that our Director of EMS, Hilda Pippin, has resigned and retired, or is planning on. She's given her notice. Without going into a lot of detail.
I know she
So
did a good job.
we are, that job has been posted internally. It is now being advertised externally, and I've reached out to some of the regional providers of hospital-based EMSs to help us identify candidates that have the appropriate management experience to help us. So we'll see how that goes. And as always, I'm available if anybody has any questions. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
One more item, Mr. Chairman. We need, reading the minutes and the meetings and stuff like that, Heather makes reference to no county representative being there. I want to make a motion that we have Michael Morone go to the hospital board meetings on the county's behalf. Then maybe that way it will help clarify some of this that's not being communicated. And I'll make that in the form of a motion that we have Michael Morone sit on the hospital board as Franklin County's representative.
I'll second that.
Have a motion second on the floor. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, and we'll appreciate having Michael. It will be a big help.